Hey groupers, Pastor Marshall. We're going to talk about a difficult passage today in Hebrews, the end of chapter 5, beginning of chapter 6. To start off with, I'd like to talk about what was a divided situation that you experienced with people, and how did they handled the division well. I talked about my own childhood and my parents' divorce, and I think they handled it well. What was an area of division that you experienced that people handled well? What did they do that made it better? And then what didn't they do that could have made it worse? In a divided time in our country, let's talk about what we can do to make things better. Let's talk about what we can keep from doing that will make things worse. Well, verse 11 in Hebrews chapter 5 says that they no longer try to understand. And that just breaks my heart as a pastor, as a teacher. And I wonder, what are the things that might cause Christian people to stop wanting to grow in God? What are the things that would cause Christian people to stop wanting to understand more about God and His Word, to understand Him better? Now, the next, what do you believe are the elementary truths that the author might be thinking about in verse 12 of chapter 5 and in verse 1 of chapter 6? If you were to make a list, or if you were to brainstorm, what would be the simple, basic, elementary truths that you think the author of Hebrews is thinking of? Then, in verses 13 and 14, the author speaks of maturity and immaturity. Evaluate your own life. What areas of your spiritual life do you consider to be mature? And what areas of your spiritual life do you consider to be immature? Share with your group. Invite accountability in. Invite confirmation in. What areas do you see as mature? What areas do you see as immature? And then, what does it mean to re-crucify the Son of God all over again? And then, finally, we end in verses 7 and 8 with an agricultural illustration. How do agricultural illustrations in the Bible inform our understanding? There are so many of them. How do they inform our understanding? And how does his illustration enforce his warning to the Hebrew people? Well, finally, every week we want to talk about our application. And so I asked you, what was your spiritual age? And so we would think of 4 different categories. We would think of an infant. We would think of a child. We would think of a teen or a young adult. And then we would think of a parent. And as you think of these 4 things, which one would you fall under? A category of an infant, things are new. It's new truth and it's new habits. If the church is all new for you and you're learning new truths and you're creating new habits, then this is the box that you would be in. The box of a child is one that is beginning to think about growing. That's kind of the key word, beginning to think about growing. And this would be stepping into small groups. And so those of you that are in this small group might be thinking about, who do you know that's in this box that you would be inviting to small groups because you want them to be growing. And then when we think about a teen or we think about a young adult, we would think about someone that is beginning to do ministry. They're beginning to transition from new truths and habits to small group and growing, and now they're wanting to do ministry. They're wanting to serve. That's where we would put the young adult, the teen. And the truth is, probably most of the church is in this box. But this is the box where a lot of people end. And so as you're evaluating your maturity, if you want to grow into a parent, you want to grow into a mature person, a parent is one that is reproducing. A parent is making disciples. And so you are thinking about, who can I be teaching the new truths to? Who can I be teaching new habits to? Who can I be bringing into small group? Who can I be helping them figure out their role in ministry where they serve? And that's the role of a parent. Well, I would want you to think about, what is your spiritual age? And then also, How are you going to handle differences in theology? Well, I hope that you have a great group. And remember, we love each other. And I'll see you next Sunday.